Water diplomacy is actually any kind of interaction, namely between states, in order to prevent disputes to turn into political confrontations or hot conflicts. So there could be many ways of mechanisms of diplomacy, like it can start with contacts, dialogue, and it can go to systematic negotiations, and states and other actors, stakeholders may decide to create joint institutions in order to solve the differences, and they may end up in the end signing treaties in favor of cooperation, and they may also end up creating joint institutions and projects together. So water diplomacy is like a tool that there are problems, there's water crisis due to scarcity, due to increasing demand, due to climate change. So many parts of the world is facing this crisis. And water diplomacy is a tool to manage and to solve this crisis through some mechanisms. So like other means of diplomacy, water diplomacy also uses the classic means or some innovative ways, like track 2 diplomacy, for instance. It's not only state to state, but professionals, water professionals, former diplomats, or definitely civil society groups, they may take place in water diplomacy to cope with these difficulties. And it's even better to have such inclusive ways of water diplomacy. It starts with states because many years states define the political interest and also the policies. But as the time goes by, it is understood that the water users and water suppliers like the state or private sector, they have to come together to deal with these problems of mismatches between demand and supply in many parts of the world, namely the Middle East, because of its natural aridity or semi-aridity, but increasing negative impacts of climate change, and other problems also added to here, because Middle East have some structural problems as well, like uneven economic development, continuation of the population growth in many parts of the Middle East still. Some parts are okay, not growing, but many parts are still growing, very high population, per capita increase in water use, or irregular distribution of water, and many problems are also compounded with water crisis. So we need many ways to deal with this crisis within such regions, and water diplomacy is a tool, a political tool and a policy tool to deal with this crisis.